asked to show you how I make the Karen model mask, and so let's get to it. The Karen model can be made very quickly, which is one of its benefits. It does cover an N95 mask if it needs to, and it also is good for just a regular person, and it includes a filter pocket that you can put a disposable filter in. It is comfortable. It has side channels so that you can use either an elastic or a tie to make it fit better. This is the back. It's got some pleats in the bottom for the chin, and this is the front. And this is how it looks with a string, which I've actually put a toggle on. And this is how it looks with the elastic ties. And on the elastic ties, I've put a little bead here to adjust the size of the mask so that you can make it fit better. So let's get started. Before I get started, I set up my surfaces. So I have created these lines, and I have just drawn them on a simple piece of muslin. For the adult size, you're going to cut a rectangle that's going to be 8.5 by 15 inches long. And what I do is I cut a whole stack of them so that I could speed sew these. Then I'm going to make two lines. The top and the bottom line are 14 inches apart. And then I'm going to make two lines again that are 4 inches from the top line. And then two more that are 1.5 inches from the 4-inch line. And there's a 3-inch piece in the center for the adult model. So it's cut 8.5 by 15. This is 14 inches from here to here. 4 inches, 4 inches, 1.5 inches, and then 3 inches. The two most important measurements to get right are this two marks, which are 5 inches apart, and this mark, which is 3 inches apart. For the child size, you're going to cut a piece that's 7 inches by 13 inches in length. And if there's some kind of pattern on it, make sure that it's going from top to bottom, because that's what you're going to see. Otherwise, it will go sideways. So cut the pattern in the 13-inch direction. You're going to then make two lines again, but these are going to be 12 inches apart. And then 3.5 inches down, you're going to make another two lines. And then 1 inch down from there, you're going to make another two lines. And so you will have 12 inches apart. Then you're going to have these two. You'll have a 5-inch piece in the center, and then you'll have a 3-inch piece in the center. And the most important, again, mark that you want to hit on any of the masks is this 5-inch piece and this 3-inch piece, because you want the finished piece to be 3 inches. By doing it this way, it hides a myriad of mistakes. So we're going to go ahead and start with the adult size. I have a stack of pre-cut pieces that are 8.5 by 15. I cut 1-inch strips of fabric, and I take those and I put them through my sewing machine. I have what's called a rolled hem foot, and it creates a nice thin piece of fabric that can be used as a tie, and I'll show you how to do that at the end. If you're going to put elastics in them, I cut the elastic pieces 10 inches in length. This is 10 inches, and I've been using these seed beads. They're seed bead number 6. The number 6 bead is good. It will hold and it will stick in the elastic and make it adjustable, and which is especially great for kids. So again, I'll show you how to do that. And then the other thing that I pre-set up is the twisty ties. They come in lengths. I cut each one into 4 lengths for the adult, and each one will make 5 pieces for the child size. I'm actually going to cut these 1 inch shorter than the width of the mask. So for the adult, I'm going to cut this at 7.5 inches. Now these are average sizes. If you've got a small adult or a large man and this mask is not fitting properly, which is really important to have a proper fit, what you can do is measure from your ear to your ear and then subtract 3 inches. And if you subtract 3 inches from that number, you get the width that you want to cut it at. Still cut it out at 15 for an adult, but say that measurement comes out to be 7.5, then cut 7.5 and it will fit better. So you can go ahead and do that. The other pieces that I cut are small rectangles, and these are 5-inch by 2-inch. They work great for the elastic and this thin braid. However, if you're going to use t-shirt ties, it may be a little bit too thick and you might want to cut them a little higher if you need to. But I find that 2 inches by 5 inches works great. So let's get started. I grab a stack of these pre-cut pieces and let's go over to the sewing machine. In order to speed sew these and get it done really quickly, what I do is I don't iron it or pin it. I'm just going to fold it over 1/4 inch with my thumbs and my fingers, and then fold it over another 1/4 inch. And I'm going to put it right under the foot, and then I'm going to sew. And you can see that I'm sewing one right after the other, and I'm going to do this with all the ones that I've cut out. So I'll try to make 15 or 20 at a time, and that takes me about an hour once everything is all pre-cut and set up. So I'm going to do that for all the pieces that I have in my stack, and then I'm going to turn them around and sew the other side. But I've already done that for brevity, so let's move on to the next step. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my guide and I'm going to place the piece of fabric wrong side up right in the center. And what this enables me to do is to fold it and press it super quickly so I don't have to keep measuring every single time. It also helps you to get to the proper size in the end, because if you're a little bit too short or a little bit too long when you've done your hemming, it's okay, just center it between these two lines. So I put a 1 at the top and a 2 at the bottom because that's the direction that I want you to fold. So I'm going to fold from the top down to the first line, which is 4 inches. Then I'm going to fold from the bottom up, and that is 4 inches. And again, I didn't have to get my ruler out and keep measuring everything. Then I'm going to fold the top again down to the 1.5 inch line, and I'm going to fold the bottom up, and they're going to meet exactly in the center. Then I'm going to take the iron and just press it once so that I have a nice crease. I'm going to open up the top part only, and I'm going to bring it over here to the stack of ones that I've already pressed. So again, so I'm doing it in succession, right? So I'm doing each step at only one time. I'm going to bring this stack of masks that I've pressed back over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to bring them all over with the top part facing my sewing machine, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch channel right across the top. And again, you're going to do these one right after the other. So I'm going to put the right in the presser foot and just sew straight down 1/4 inch. And again, you're going to take the next one and the next one and just keep doing it in rapid succession. But for this, we're going to take it off now. Then, what you're going to do is fold it back down and take one of these twisty ties that you've cut 1 inch shorter than the width of your mask. I've already taken a plier and I've curved the ends. I just grab it and twist it like that so that it doesn't poke the wearer. I'm going to take the twisty tie, and then that's been curved, and I'm going to slide it just right into my mask so that it's right in the center. And I'll have a whole stack of these. And then I'm going to bring all the ones that I've done, and along with some of these pre-cut rectangles that are 2 inches by 5 inches, back over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to put them right side up. I'm then going to lay the mask on top of that piece. I'm going to fold the top up so that the seam line of the 1/4 inch where I put the twisty tie goes just above the top of the crease here. And I'm going to sew that part down at 1/4 inch. For the bottom, I'm going to fold it down even with the bottom of the mask. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And again, but you're going to do them all in rapid succession. So I'm going to place it right side down. I'm going to put this in the center. Now again, now I'm at the bottom, so this bottom is going to be even. And just sew it at a 1/4 inch. I'm going to slide the twisty tie over to make sure I'm not going to catch it with the needle, and I'm going to put the top 1/4 inch that I've sewn channel just above the fold line and sew that down at a 1/4 inch. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is take my hands and just finger press this up. And I'm going to fold over the side so that it's level, and I'm going to put a pin. I'm going to fold over this side until it's level, and then I'm going to put a pin. Do the same to the other side. I'm going to fold it up, fold it, and notice that I'm pinning in this direction from outside to the center, because that way I don't have to take the pins out when I sew it, and you'll see that that saves you a whole lot of time as well. Okay, I want to stop it right there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to put the ties in on both models. So I've pre-cut this, I said, at 10 inches. I put in the bead and I tied a knot at the end, and I'll show you how I do that after the end. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold over the top of this a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to fold it over so that the edge just goes slightly over the sewn line, the stitching line that I have here. But before I do that, I'm going to lay this piece right in here, and that way I don't have to thread it through later. So I'm going to fold it, make sure it's in the middle so you don't sew over it, fold it again, and then I take out the top pin, put this right underneath, stitch a few stitches, back tack it, and go to the end. Make sure you take out that last pin, back tack it, and there you go. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Okay? And now I have the mask, and the bead is going to give you the adjustability factor on the side. So, and then again, I would do the same thing to the other side and do that in succession. If, however, I want to use a tie like this, what I'm going to do basically the same thing, but I want to make sure that I always sew these with the nose piece at the top, and I'll show you that it'll become very apparent in a second. So I'm going to lay this on top in the center just like I did with the elastic. I'm going to fold over a 1/4 inch and then fold it over here, and I'm going to sew this one just like I sewed the other one. Back tack both ends. Now, again, I'm going to do these in succession, so I'm going to have a long line of these. When I go back to do the other side, why I did the top first is that when I go to sew this side, I want this to be on this side of the sewing machine and not on this side of the sewing machine, because otherwise it'll get stuck and I'll end up sewing over it, and I don't want to do that. So what I end up doing is when I do them in succession, there'll be one right here. I'll bring this one around the sewing machine like this so that you can continue to sew them one after the other and not have to stop. And that's how I can get 15 or 20 done in an hour, because I'm not stopping in between. There you go. And now I have this mask so that you can put it over your head like this. You can bring it down, put the chin piece in. The nose piece can be adjusted so that you have a tight fit. And then you can either leave it the way it is and tie it around the top of the back of your head, or what I've been doing recently, because someone else had a brilliant idea, is I'm taking one of these little toggles, and if you feed the toggle, the two strings right through the toggle, you can then, it works basically the same way. You can put it on over your face, lift it up, put it around, but then all you have to do is pinch and slide it down. You can then adjust the nose piece and the chin piece, and you're all set to go. So that was a brilliant idea. And then what I do, as you notice, that just came off because I didn't knot it. On these ones that I've already finished, I've knotted the ends. And I'll knot these ends like this, whether I'm going to leave it for ties or whether there's a toggle on it. But this way the toggle can't slip off. What we're going to do next, we're going to put 2 pleats down on the bottom in the chin area to form a nice seal and fit around the chin. And we're going to place each one on the adult mask at 2 1/4 inches in from this side channel here. So what I do is I just made myself a little ruler out of a piece of tape, and I put it onto my my sewing surface. I'm going to measure 2 1/4 inches across. So from here to this spot here is 2 1/4. I'm going to bend it with my thumb, and I'm going to fold it right sides together so that the pleat of the mask is on the inside. I'm going to start sewing at 1/4 inch in, and I'm going to sew in a diagonal straight down to the other corner until, and it's going to be about 5/8 or 3/4 inch deep. I'm going to put it right under the needle, and I'm using a 1/4 inch foot, so that's why I'm not really measuring it all that much. I'm going to back tack a little bit, and then I am going to go forward and just sew right off the corner and back tack again. Again, I'm going to leave it in there. I'm going to take another one, measure my 2 1/4. I'm going to fold it and put it in. And you're going to do them in succession, just like we did everything else. Once you're done with all of those, you're going to cut the threads and cut them apart, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm going to measure 2 1/4 inches on this side. I'm going to fold it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stitch. I'm going to back it a little up a little bit, go forward, back, and you're done. So now, once you've cut all your loose ends, you have a mask that has a nice area for the chin to fit better, a nose piece, and a pocket on the inside that you can put a disposal filter in for use. And just treat it like a fine garment, hand wash it, or wash it on gentle in the machine and let it air dry, and it should last a very long time. So now I'm going to show you how I get the beads onto here. I just thread a needle, and I'm using a heavy thread here, and just because I don't want it to break. I'm going to take the bead and slip it onto the needle, and there's no knot at the end of the thread. I'm just using it to pull it through. Then I'm going to lay the elastic on top, and I'm going to reach over and thread the bead again with the needle. So now I have the elastic like this and the bead. And then what I'm going to do is just pull the bead onto there, and then I can just let go of the needle and it comes right off. Then I'm taking the end and just tying a small knot on the end of that side and tying a small knot on the end of this side. And then it's not going to come off the end, and it makes it a nice adjustable strap. So that's how I do that. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I make these nice thin ties out of a 1-inch piece cut of fabric. I'm using what's called a rolled hem foot. And I am taking the 1-inch piece and I'm just folding it in half, not ironing it. I'm just using my thumbs to press it. I'm going to feed it into the foot and roll it in, and then give it a few stitches to get it started. Once it gets started, I hold the back and I hold the front. I just pinch the 2 right sides out together, and I just run it through the foot. And the foot is really doing all the work. as I need more, I just slide my hand out and pinch it again. And as you see, it goes really quickly, and it makes this beautiful, super fine piece of fabric that can be used easily as a tie. And that's basically it. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope this helps you guys.